Hey guys, it's Katie. Welcome back to my channel. I am so glad that you guys are here and happy Bookmas Day 3. I'm actually very excited for today's video. I have always wanted to do a tier ranking video. They do take a little bit of prep because obviously you have to like make the tier maker and stuff like that. But I figured Bookmas would be the perfect time to do my first one, and today we are going to be ranking popular romance book tropes. Maybe not popular, but just like romance book tropes in general. I have my computer and we are going to go into tiermaker.com. Let's go ahead and go over our tiers first. I have 6 different tiers. Let's start at the very top. We've got hits every time, and these tropes do just that. They hit every single time, no matter what book, no matter what author, no matter if I liked the book or didn't like the book, because it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with the trope. And these are just my favorite tropes of all time. I could literally read any book with this trope and I would probably like it. Tier 2 is just, it's up there. Like, it's pretty good. Not one of my favorites, but like, I'd read that. Like, I find myself gravitating towards that and would probably pick that book up. Next, we just have mid, because the trope is just that. Mid. It's not really special, not my favorite. I don't really particularly enjoy reading those books. I don't really dislike reading those tropes in books. It's just kind of there. I have no feeling towards it. I'm kind of neutral. Then we have if it's done right, which is a very important category, I feel like, for these tropes, because there are a lot of tropes that you read a certain book by a certain author and it could be amazing, wonderful, and they're like, oh my gosh, I love this trope so much, let's read some more books with this trope. And then you go to read some more books with that trope and you're like, this is not it. Then we have the bottom 2 tiers. We have it's a no for me, because it is just that. Like, it's a no for me. I don't really like reading this trope. It just doesn't really do anything for me. Like, there are so many other tropes that I would rather read in books. And then the last one, we have delete. Like, I will just not read any books with this trope. I don't like it. Why does it exist? Why are you here? What are you doing? Absolutely not. A definitive no. Delete. Now that we've gone over the tiers, let's go ahead and just start listing all of our romance tropes. Okay, so the first trope that we have is insta-love, and no, I really don't like insta-love. Like, if you're reading a 300-page book and they get together within like the first few chapters, why am I reading it? They're together. No, thank you. I'm gonna put it in it's a no for me. I don't think it needs to be deleted. Well, do I? No, I don't think it needs to be deleted, but it's just like, it's not for me. Next up, we have brother's best friend. Immediately yes. Immediately hits every single time. It's just something about, I guess, kind of like that sneaking around feeling almost, because most of the time they have to hide it from the brother, and it's just so interesting seeing how the characters like interact. And most of the time it is like a childhood friends to lovers, which is one of my favorite tropes, as you will see whenever we put that up on hits every time. You just know it's coming. Okay, I'm looking at all of these and I'm just gonna instantly put bully and delete. Why are we bullying? Period. Number 2, why would you bully someone that you like? Like, remember whenever we were kids and people were like, oh, like they just treat you like that because they like you or they're jealous of you or something like that. And I'm like, no, like that doesn't make sense. Like, enemies to lovers, okay, like some banter, we love that, but like bullying? What are we doing? It doesn't belong in a romance book, okay? Single parent, I would say it's up there. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't read a lot of books with the single parent trope in them. I definitely do want to read more, because I think that if I did read more, it would be in hits every time, but I'm also just not sure. I feel like it'd be very cute though to read about it, especially if it was a guy with like a little girl. It would be so cute, which is why I want to read the Chestnut Spring series so bad, because I know that at least one of those is about a single dad. So I definitely want to read more of those, and I feel like it's like up there for me, but just like not like S tier yet. Right person, wrong time. I'll be honest, I hate this trope. I'm gonna put it in delete. I think I would rather never read a romance book again than read this trope. I think right person, wrong time is just kind of like, it just doesn't really make any sense to me. I don't like it. If they were your person, why aren't you with them? Like, it's not the wrong time, there just like is no time. And honestly, if I'm reading a romance book and they don't end up together at the end and it just kind of like ends up sad, I think I read In 5 Years and it ended like that, and I was just like, oh, okay. Like, if I want that, I'm gonna go to a literary fiction. I'm not gonna go to a romance to get that. Slow burn. Okay, this is one of my favorites. I feel like, I mean, obviously it's the exact opposite of insta love. I would say it's up there. I'm not gonna give it a hits every time just because it's not like my absolute favorite tropes, and honestly sometimes the slow burn be burning slow, so I don't think it hits every single time. And speaking of hits every time, I know I just talked about how much I love Brother's Best Friend, but I am gonna bring it down to it's up there just because like there are so many other tropes that I like more, even though it does hit like a lot of the time. I'm getting picky, folks, okay? I'm trying to give you some variation. Love triangle is the definition of if it's done right. Unlike other people, I actually quite enjoy a love triangle. I think it's because I grew up watching The Vampire Diaries, so I became like absolutely obsessed with it. But I feel like with love triangles, there's so much drama, and I kind of live for that. So that's why it's gonna be an if it's done right, because I do like it sometimes, but sometimes it's like absolutely not. It really just depends on the author and the book and like the story, which is how books work. So me spending most of this video literally just thinking about where these are gonna go and not having any idea because I'm like the most indecisive person ever. Okay, I'm gonna go with this one, Amnesia. That's definitely an if it's done right. I actually just read a book where the girl had amnesia and I enjoyed it a lot, actually. I feel like it's not really one that you come by super often, but I also feel like there's a lot of ways that it can be done wrong. Like if they get their memories back right away, it's just kind of like, why did they need to have that? Same thing with like a slow burn. Like you need to have like the right amount of time with that trope, I guess. So I just feel like it needs to be done the correct way, or like just don't do it at all. Next up we have Coworkers, and I am like a little bit partial to this because that's how my fiance Luke and I met. I don't think it's one of my favorite tropes, but I do think it is very cute. I mean, instantly when I think about this isn't a book, but I think of Jim and Pam from The Office, and I just absolutely loved their relationship. They were definitely a good slow burn, and I don't know, I want to read more books with the coworker trope. I'm gonna put it in it's up there. It's definitely not like one of my #1 favorites, but I think it's like very cute and I wouldn't mind reading a lot of those. Okay, next we have the pregnancy trope. Honestly, I'm gonna put it in, I don't know, I'm gonna put it in if it's done right, because I feel like this is a trope that you have to get right, and if you don't, then it just doesn't make any sense. And there's so many other things that go along with it too, like the partners who are having the child, depending on their relationship, it like makes the pregnancy trope almost like good or bad or work or not. I feel like I've read a lot of books with the pregnancy trope and I don't find myself like particularly loving that. Maybe it's because I'm not like super connected to those characters, but it's just kind of like there. You know what, I'm gonna put it in mid actually, because I'm just kind of neutral. I don't really think like it adds or doesn't add too much to the story, if that makes sense. I definitely think it's a point of conflict or like a point that they're thinking about a lot, but I don't know, it's just kind of there. That's really it. Okay, sports. I love a good sports romance. I'm gonna say it's up there. I have loved almost every single sports romance that I have read. I just think they're so cute. And like, I'm not gonna lie, part of me when I was younger, I always wanted to be with like a famous sports player, specifically hockey and baseball. Well, basketball's kind of cool too. Not really a football girly because I really don't understand that sport, but I just think sports is very cool, and I love how they like whatever go to each other's games, and sometimes there's like little events where they dress up. Like, it's just a very good trope and I love it. Next up is Grumpy Sunshine. I'm gonna say I feel like I read a lot of these whenever I first started reading and I kind of ate it up, but now I don't know if it's just because I've read so many or if because there's more tropes that I like than Grumpy Sunshine, but I just kind of think it's like mid. Like, it's just kind of there, like just like the pregnancy trope. Like, I don't know, I'm just kind of neutral. Like, if it is Grumpy Sunshine, I'm not gonna be like, ooh, Grumpy Sunshine, like let's get it. But if it's not, I'm gonna be like, oh, I need to read this trope more. It's just, she's there. Fake dating. Guys, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of love the fake dating trope. I'm not really sure where I want to put it yet. It kind of does hit every time, but I'm just not sure if it belongs up there. So I'm just gonna leave it there for a second and we'll come back to it. I'm also seeing step sibling. Delete. Absolutely not. Okay, I'm gonna put age gap in if it's done right, because truly, I'll be honest, sometimes age gap like doesn't affect me. Like, honestly, I would put this in mid if it was easy to just like exist, but a lot of the times age gap can be kind of like gross, and maybe the age gap is too big, or he's always talking about how young she is or vice versa, and it's just kind of like weird, and like icky sometimes, so I feel like it just needs to be done right. Other than that, even if it is done right, it's just like not my thing. Like it's just like not one of my favorite tropes. I see one of my favorites, so I'm just gonna put it in hits every time. Second chance romance. Like I said earlier with Brother's Best Friend, I love it whenever characters have history and you find out about their history as you go along, and it kind of is like right person wrong time in another way, but like at the end they end up together because it's a second chance. But right person wrong time, if that's just like the only trope in that book, like delete. But if we have right person wrong time and then we go into a second chance romance and then they're trying to rekindle everything and then they end up together, amazing, wonderful, beautiful, hits every time. Yes. Second chance is just so good. I love it so much. If I see that a book has a second chance romance trope, like, I'm gonna pick it up. I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna buy it. I don't think this trope will ever get old. I just love it. Okay, billionaire I'm gonna put in mid because honestly, like it is just kind of mid. I've read several billionaire romances and I don't think that trope in particular really does anything for me. Like I still like those books. They're just not really my favorite, if they are my favorite, because of the billionaire trope. Again, teacher, student, delete. Every time I think of this, and when I've watched these videos, everybody says the same thing that I'm about to say. I think of Ezra and Arya from Pretty Little Liars. Growing up, I was like, oh my gosh, like I love them, they're perfect together, like endgame, yes. Now that I'm older and I understand that he was like 23, 24 and she was like 16, no, Ezra, literally, what were you doing? So literally ick, delete immediately. Where do I go from here? I'm just gonna pick up Found Family because I instantly know where that's going. That's going in hits every time for me. It just does. When there's a good found family in a book, especially if it's a series, I always find myself coming back for more. Like some of my favorites, the Maple Hills, like Icebreaker and Wildfire. I love that found family of like the little hockey crew. They are so cute. ACOTAR, love the Inner Circle, that found family. Even like in Happy Place with their friend group, like just the found family that was in that book just made that book so good. And I don't know, I feel like it just adds so much to a romance book because then you don't just care about the romance and it makes it feel a lot more real because there's so many other characters like intertwined and then you get so interested in their stories. And I absolutely love found family. It is just like, it is top tier, hits every time. Yes. Okay, the one night stand trope honestly is kind of just like insta love almost in a way. Sometimes it's the opposite of insta love because sometimes they have a one night stand and then like they don't like each other and then they like find each other at the end. But I also feel like, I don't know, I don't want them to touch or kiss until like at least 250, maybe just 200 pages in. I feel like it kind of ruins the tension. So I'm gonna put it in just like, it's a no for me. I just don't really like it. It's just not for me. Friends with Benefits, that's just gonna go into mid. I don't know, it's kind of like the one night stand insta love thing. Actually, I'm gonna put that in if it's done right because I feel like if it's not done right, it's in like, it's a no from me because it is kind of like the insta love one night stand thing. But I feel like there's so many different pieces into it because like they've known each other before. I don't know, adds a little like extra tension because there are feelings involved eventually at the end if they end up together. I feel like a lot of times I don't like it, but I feel like I could if it's done right because there are some that I do like, but again, just depends. Okay, Rivals to Lovers is going and it's up there because it's not always my favorite. Like I love them competing for stuff, but I'm not like, oh my gosh, Rivals to Lovers, read immediately. Like it's not one of those ones that I look forward to every single time. And I feel like Rivals to Lovers is very similar to Enemies to Lovers, but they're also like very different. And me saying Enemies to Lovers, let's just go ahead and put that in a category really quick. Do I love the Enemies to Lovers trope in fantasy books? Yes. Like it is literally god tier, and for that I'm gonna put that in hits every time. Now I know we're doing for romance books right now, and I have read a lot of Enemies to Lovers romance books, and I do have to say that it doesn't hit as hard for romances, but because of the romantasy that I've read, I'm gonna put it in hits every time. If I was just talking about romance books, it'd be in like, it's up there, kind of like with Rivals to Lovers, because it is just the tension, like the banter, so good. I love Enemies to Lovers. Okay, I see another delete. Cheating. Why are we cheating? Why are we putting that in books? Sometimes the books glorify cheating. Absolutely not. Delete. Period. Let's do Friends to Lovers and Childhood Friends to Lovers really quick. I'm gonna put Friends to Lovers and it's up there, and Childhood Friends to Lovers and it hits every time. Let me tell you why. Childhood Friends to Lovers, there is so much history there. So much tension, so much will they, won't they, just because they have so much history, and you guys know I love the history. It just makes it that much more juicy, that much more tension filled. It's just so, so good. And I love the going back and forth from timelines. Even if a book isn't good, even if it's not written the best way, if they have that timeline jump back and forth every few chapters, I am literally kicking my feet and giggling. Even if I don't like the book or the ending or anything like that. I will kick my feet and giggle for this trope every time. Okay, now with friends to lovers. I don't think that it's up there with childhood friends to lovers because they do have history, they just don't have as much history. And for me, sometimes, like, if they've only been friends for like a few years, just tell them how you feel. Like, there's not that much writing on it, even if they are best friends. Like, just speak up. Like, tell them. Like, it's still up there for me. And I still love this trope because, like, it can get juicy and tension filled just like childhood friends to lovers, but I don't know. Childhood friends to lovers just has that extra, like, little spice in it. Forced proximity, I mean, it's up there. I kind of love it whenever characters are forced to interact if they wouldn't normally do so, just because it adds to the tension and it adds to the spice, kind of like enemies to lovers. I just love it. Good boy, bad girl. I'm just gonna say it's mid. I don't really have any feelings towards that one. Like, I just don't really care. Like, if I see that on the back of the book, I'm like, oh, okay. Do I want to read that? Do I don't know. It's just like there. And same with Good Girl, Bad Boy. I would say it hits a little bit more than Good Boy, Bad Girl, but also just like not, I don't know. Doesn't really like matter to me if that's a trope in a book that I'm reading. It's just like there. Fake dating, I have to put it in. Hits every time. I just love fake dating. I think it's so cute. I think there's so much tension and they just don't know, and there's so much will they won't they, which I love. Okay, I'm gonna put arranged marriage and it's a no for me because honestly, I just don't really love the idea of it. I'm sure that there are books where I would read it and like enjoy it, but I feel like a lot of the time I wouldn't. And I've really never read a book with it where I've been like, oh my gosh, this is so good, I love this. Like, it's just kind of like there, but I also just like don't like the idea of it. So it's a no for me. One bed trope. It's up there. Immediately thinking of The Ballad of Never After. If you know, you know. I think that it is always very cute and very like spicy sometimes, if you know what I'm saying. It's so good. Kicking my feet, loving it so much. Okay, Marriage of Convenience is kind of mid. I guess, okay, going back to arranged marriage. Arranged marriage is kind of just like, eh. Marriage of Convenience, I just kind of like have no feeling towards because obviously like there's reason for it, but I feel like arranged marriage is just like, I don't like that the characters have no choice. I feel like with Marriage of Convenience, at least they have like some sort of choice. Like they're choosing to be a part of it because it's like convenient. Okay, last two. Okay, this might be controversial, but I'm gonna put I Hate Everyone But You, and it's up there. I do think it is very precious whenever like they only have eyes for the person that they're really into, but I also don't think you need to be like a to everyone else, you know? Like, you can still be nice to other people, but I also think there's something said for them making the other person feel special and them acting like they only have eyes for that person. So it's definitely up there, but it's just not one of my personal favorites. But ending off with a personal favorite, we have Who Did This to You? Anytime this micro trope comes into play, especially in an enemies to lovers. Do you guys know what my favorite trope is? Just guess. I bet you can't. Especially in a romantasy. I get goosebumps. I'm kicking my feet. I'm giggling. I'm just smiling like I am right now. It's just so good. Okay, besides the last Who Did This to You, let me just put this up top where she belongs, of course, even though we did double. But yeah, we are officially finished with our tier ranking. I feel pretty good about this. I think that some things could probably belong to one or two different tiers, so it was kind of like hard for me to choose. I actually took a break in the middle of filming this video because I had to like think about where I wanted all these things to go for a second, but I feel pretty good about it. If you guys want to give this a chance too, I will link it down below, and it was pretty fun. I enjoyed it. If you guys liked watching me tier rank these romance book tropes, then go ahead and leave some other ideas for me to rank down below, and also comment down below your favorite books from your favorite tropes, or if you have any recommendations for books in my favorite tropes, because I'm always looking for more because I literally eat them up every time. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed it, and I think that's it. I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.
Luke, S tier.
Is that it? Okay. I don't like no whips and chains, man, you can fuck me now. Let that down below. I literally just hate it. I hate it so much. So much.